Hello, welcome to He's Hot But Something's Off with me, just Joey T. After 2 weeks, we are back. Oh my God, it's been a bit of a 2 weeks, and we'll get right into White Party Bangkok very shortly. But it is Wednesday, the 10th that I'm recording this. I had planned for the podcast to take just a 1 week break, I think, at the very end of the year, that week between Christmas and New Year's. Like no one's doing anything. I feel like that's kind of like the one holiday week where like people can just stop working. And by the way, you're not paying for this podcast. I can do whatever I want. But I did plan to take a break, and I didn't announce it that 1 week. And my plan was David Lamb was supposed to, and he did, visit me in Los Angeles right after New Year's. We were in Bangkok together, and then he had a thing where he was in LA for like a couple of days, and I was going to record a podcast with him and do a pod together about how White Party Bangkok went for us over New Year's. But we both got sick, and we were not in good enough of a condition to really be talking for 30 or 40 minutes. And that's also why we did not have a podcast episode the first week of January, which would have been last week. And hence why I'm here now. So I'm like 95%. I still have a little bit of a sore throat that's lingering. Whatever bug that I got, like I have not been that sick in like years. Usually most years I'll get sick once, maybe twice. I mean, during the pandemic with COVID and everything, like almost everyone, so many people got COVID, right? So like, but thinking to pre-pandemic, I think on average I got sick once a year. And if I was lucky that year, it would have been like a very mild cold to the point where like I didn't really notice it too much. Once in a while, it would be something more like a harder cold or like a light flu. Not anything that's very, very severe to the point where like I feel like I'm gonna die. This year, though, we picked it up in Bangkok for sure. And I had a couple of flights connecting to come back from Bangkok back to LAX. Quick sidebar. There was a Japanese Airlines flight that lit on fire on landing at Haneda Airport in Tokyo. While that was happening, I was at that airport. So I was on a layover. I was like a 7-hour layover before I caught my flight to LAX. And I was in the lounge in the airport, and like I couldn't tell that anything was going on or wrong. I guess it's a big airport, and there's a whole ton of windows, large, huge windows on the side of the lounge that I was in. And I guess the fire probably wasn't on that side. We weren't facing the right runway. But I didn't know about it until I didn't know that something was up at the airport until I got an email that said, there's a ground stop at the airport, which means there are no flights are taking off and no flights are landing. Like there's operations, flights have stopped. That's what a ground stop is. And then I started, and then the email said it's a ground stop because there's a fire on the runway. And I'm a little bit of like an AV geek. So I was like, oh my God, what's going on? Googled it. And then that's when I actually found out about the Japan Airlines flight that unfortunately caught on fire. I was like, oh, I'm at that airport. It's like, I'm at the airport where this huge plane is caught on fire. So that was like a little bit crazy. And my flight was supposed to be like one of the last flights out of that day. And they were able to like get some of the flights just delayed, but like rescheduled to be like a little bit later on. So fortunately for me, my flight was just delayed by like 30 minutes. It was like MBD. I was already having a 7-hour layover. Yeah, but that was some crazy shit to be like at that airport and to like read and see and hear about that flight. But there were no announcements. Like no one was freaking out. It was just like a regular day at an airport lounge. It was like just boring. I was just eating all the free food basically. That was a quick sidebar. But yeah, at the lounge, I was feeling fine. I was eating all the ramen, all the udon, all of the curry rice, which is like these are like some of my favorite things to eat. So Japanese foods is one of my favorite cuisines, and got aboard the flight. The flight was not full, and I was on the aisle seat, and there was an empty seat, and there was like another person. We were like in the middle of the plane, so it's like great. I've got an aisle seat. I'm on a bulkhead, so like no one to recline into me. I got a lot of leg room. There's an empty seat between me and the other passenger. It's going to be like a 10 or 11 hour flight across the Pacific. This should be great, right? But during that flight was when I started to feel ill. Like started to get like a headache, just like generally didn't feel super awesome. Made it home anyways. But then the next day, I got home in the evening. Still managed to like pick up some quick groceries on the way home from the airport. Wasn't feeling too bad. But the next day, oh my God, I was just a blob on the couch. I not felt that sick in like several years and many years. And I just didn't feel like doing anything. I didn't want to eat. I lost my appetite. I had like a headache. With any amount of movement, I had like a headache. I didn't want to like get up off of the couch. So it was just like a really, really crappy day. But then the next day, I bounced back like surprisingly quickly, given how crappy I felt that full day back in LA. And then the next day, I felt like significantly better, still sick, but like didn't feel like I wouldn't just crawl into the crevices of my couch and die. So it was like one really bad day, and then like it was like the rest of the days were like kind of okay. So that was like a week ago. So I'm quite a bit better now. But yeah, that was gnarly, whatever that was. And I was reading some random news that said this flu season has hit really hard, and it's hit early. So and I'm talking to some other people. Quite a few of my friends are sick as well, regardless of whether they went to Bangkok or traveled or whatever. And some of them are like they were the same kind of sick as me, where like they were just like really sick, and it like wasn't COVID, but quite a few of them took the COVID home test, and it wasn't that. So that aside, that's a lot of fun getting sick. By the way, if you're sick, like just milk the sick days. Every time I get sick, I always remind myself, milk it. But sometimes I'm still worried about like, oh, like, am I getting enough protein? Should I have another protein shake? What about my diet? What about my weight? It's like for like the 1 or 2, maybe 3 days where like you feel really crappy, like just let it go. Just like do whatever it takes to make yourself feel better. So that's how I reminded myself. Like that one day where I felt really crappy, that night I didn't brush my teeth because I was so fatigued and I felt so crappy that I was deciding like I need to move from my couch to my bed to like go to sleep. And even that was like difficult to just like go from the couch to the bed. Dirty dishes all over my coffee table from like throughout the day of just like accumulating bowls and soups and teas and whatever. Didn't clean any of that. Made the decision not to brush my teeth and just like somehow got from the couch to the bed that night. So anyways, let's move it on to White Party Bangkok because that's where we were over New Year's. Was there for about a week, 6 or 7 days. And every time we go to White Party Bangkok, it's been a good time. This was a good time as well. One of the reasons it's so fun for me is I get to hang out with a lot of my Aussie friends that we don't usually hang out that often otherwise because it's quite far for them to fly from Australia to the US. And it's far for me to fly there. I rarely go to Australia. They rarely come to the US. So Bangkok is kind of sort of, well, it's still kind of far from me, but that happens to be kind of like the one event every year where we all want to go and the event is good and we can kind of like meet up and hang out at least at one time of year, right? David Lamb is an exception because he's an anomaly. So every year it's been good. We've been to every White Party Bangkok. Having said that, this year I feel like it was my worst White Party Bangkok ever. Even though overall, that's a relative term, relative to like the previous years, right? Several reasons why. So obviously we picked up this like whatever super flu that we like. We picked up it in Bangkok for sure because yeah. So getting super sick from a trip is never fun. And there was I'm gonna tell a story, and they moved it to a different venue this year. So it used to be in there used to be like a concert event space in Central World, which is this like gigantic super shopping mall. But behind Central World, kind of sort of like in that same block, they have a convention center that's attached to like a hotel, like the Centaura something hotel. And then there's like there's like a convention center, like a separate space that's right behind Central World. So they moved it there, and apparently moved it there because it was going to be like a larger space, a bigger venue. There's a lot of demand, so they can sell more tickets and have more people. Fine. We've been to that venue once before for Songkran. Songkran is the Thai New Year, and that's in April. But G Circuit is during Songkran is another gay circuit party that happens every year. It happens during Songkran, the Thai New Year, in April. And I've been to Songkran once, maybe twice, pre-pandemic, and they traditionally have held it at this convention center. The White Party Bangkok held their event this year. So the thing I don't like about this venue is that there are two regular size escalators that everybody has to funnel through, like everybody. So, and it basically became a very big bottleneck. Now, the old venue in Central World, it was also two escalators for everyone to kind of funnel through, but there's not as many people. And for whatever reason, with the old, the other thing is you have to take a lift up to get to where the escalator is only to like one floor. You have to take some elevators to get to like the 26th floor or something, and that's a bottleneck too. For whatever reason, it wasn't really a huge bottleneck to get in and out of the previous Central World, the old venue, because there's two escalators that goes directly into the venue to get in and out, and then after that, you're on like some high up floor in this massive building, and you have to like work your way down. In the old Central World venue, that was not a problem. You're still able to like exit out without waiting, go down those escalators without taking a long time, and then they basically just guided you down like another 4 or 5 flights of escalators to get to like the ground floor. You're on like the 6th or 7th floor or something, and getting out has never been a problem. Even at like the end of the night when they shut off the music and they turn up the lights and like everyone is exiting at the same time, I've never had a problem. Like you never really had to wait. This venue though, on Saturday night, I got there at like 10:30 or 11, and they do want you to go with it early. Yeah, blah blah blah. But anyways, got there like 10:30, 11. You have to take the elevators up to the 26th floor, and then you spill out into this like the elevator lobby, and then you have to go down the escalators, and then you're inside the venue. The elevator doors opened on the 26th floor, and it was just a sea of people. Like there wasn't quite enough room for everyone in the elevator to even get off nicely. Like we had to like shove and kind of like push ourselves into the crowd so that everyone behind us in the elevator could actually get off. So I was in that for like, I don't know, 30 or 40 minutes. Imagine just being in like a huge crowd of people for like 30 or 40 minutes to funnel through like these 1 or 2 escalators. Like that was not fun. And like that did not put me in like a good mood. So that happened, which wasn't nice. It was like very warm. It was kind of humid, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, later on that night, because it was very busy. Saturday night is the main event, the White Party. It's very busy. They have 3 restrooms, and the old venue had VIP restrooms. There was one restroom that was VIP. I couldn't figure out if there were VIP restrooms. There were 3 separate restrooms. None of them were marked as VIP. So, I never looked into it. When you're in the middle of a party, you're not, like you're just gonna go to a restroom, right? Unless there wasn't a clearly marked VIP restroom. Maybe I missed it, but as far as we can tell, there were 3 restrooms. None of them were VIP. But I went I went full Karen on this next one, but so it's already like not in a super great mood because like the 45 minutes it took for us like to get in, and it was like so crowded and everything. It was hot and humid. So little later that night, I decided to like go to the restroom as I needed to pee. And a lot of times there's a lineup for the restroom. And usually the lineup is just for the stalls. If you needed the urinal, usually you don't need to line up. But from the outside, you can't quite tell, right? When you're leading up to the thing. I tried to go into one of the restrooms bypassing the line, and the security person like just said like, no, there's like, you can't. So I just assumed, okay, everything's awake. I went to one of the restrooms, got in line because it just seems like it was very busy and like everything was awake. I got to the front of this line, still technically not knowing if the urinals are free or not, but I got just close enough to like the front, just inside the restroom to see that, okay, everything is full. There's a line for everything. These three guys like bypassed the line, and I can see why, because like, like usually there's not a way for urinals. Like they kind of sort of like went up to like, they bypassed the line. And I was almost at the front. I was like 2 or 3 people back. So they got right up to the front of the line, and they saw that there was a wait. And then they just waited like at the front of the line, like, when there's been like a queue of like 50 people or whatever. And like they tried to like cut in front of like me or like the person in front without having to wait in line, because I saw them cut in. And like they can clearly see that there's a way for everything now. Like the lineup that I've been in, they're also waiting for the urinals. So they try to cut in front of me or like the person in front. And I was just like, I'm not having this. Like I'm not having it. I'm Karen. And I said something like, you guys know, like there's a line for everything. Like there's a line for everything. Like if you are going to walk all the way up to the front to see that there's a line for everything, you should probably get back in line. Like you should go to the end of the line. Like you're not going to cut in here. So these three guys, and when I'm talking, I'm loud. I'm a loud person. You guys, this is a microphone, but you guys can probably tell I'm loud. So and like no one's talking. It's a bathroom, right? No one's talking. So I said something like, guys, there's a line. There's a line for everything. Something like that. And they all look like embarrassed because I had like a Karen tone, I'm sure. I had like a particular tone, and my face probably says everything. And then they didn't move. They just like stood there. So I was like, in my head I'm thinking, well, are you going to go back in the line, or like, are you just gonna hang out here and keep cutting in front? So they didn't cut in front of me, because I would not be whatever. And then like just like 5 or 8 seconds go by, and like I'm at the front of the line. I'm about to like wait for the next urinal, and then one of those 3 guys says like in like almost like under his breath, but definitely audible. He says like, we know. I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, do you just fucking talk back to me? And your response is not sorry, it's we know. And then my response was, if you know, why don't you get in line? It's that easy. If you know there's a lineup for something and you want that something, get to the back of the line like everyone else is doing. Like, is that so hard to comprehend? So I was like, I was blown that was his response. The response should have been, oh, sorry, we'll go get in line. That's the logical response. But no, they had to talk back, and like in like a half-ass, pussy-ass way. So they picked on the wrong person, honestly. So that was like my Karen moment at the bathroom. So I was like, okay, I waited like 45 minutes in this big, huge, hot, humid crowd to get in here through these, to get in. And I found my friends and stuff, but I was like, all that waiting made me really have to pee. And like, everything's busy. Everyone had to wait. I waited. So like, I went Karen on them. Anyways, but let's talk about just like my overview of the parties. So we didn't go on Thursday. So it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were the parties. Thursday night, they have what's called AGM, or All Gay Meeting, which is kind of like the welcome party, which we don't usually go to, and I didn't go. But on Friday, they had the Jock Ball, which is the only afternoon tea dance poolside party that they usually have. It's the same venue as they had it before, which is like the Avanti something hotel. Same venue as last year. It was fun. They also had a upstairs second stage at the pool party, the jock ball. That was more like chill house music. If you didn't want like the circuit music, which I thought was great, we actually spent like a bunch of time up there. It's a really nice venue. Like it's on the rooftop of this like hotel. You get really, really nice views. There is a pool there that you can go into. There's a really nice main dance floor with the circuit music. There's like an extra bar and like an extra area in the back to like loiter and just chit chat or whatever. They have the upstairs area, which is really, really fun. So that party was generally pretty good. And I love a daytime party where you can actually see people. So that was really, really good. And then Friday night was the military ball, which is one of their regular theme parties they have every year. It was, I don't remember all the DJs for every single night, but I remember that I didn't like the music that much. It was like the music wise, it just wasn't bad. Like just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's bad. It was not my type of music that I like. It was, to me, like just a very average night. We know that for something that's military themed, the music usually is a little bit on like the darker side. They're not gonna play something that's like super happy, smiley bubblegum for military night, obviously, right? But that's the kind of music that me and some of the other boys like. So not that the music is bad, but it wasn't quite my cup of tea. So that was that. But, you know, like the production is like awesome. You go into the White Party Bangkok official Instagram account, you can see like photos of like the venue, the setup, the stage and everything. Like they really just kind of outdo themselves every year with like the production. I would never see something like that in the US. Like what circuit party am I going to go to in the US that happens every single year regularly? I'm going to get that type of a stage, those types of lights, like all sorts of like moving types things that are coming down from the ceiling that shift and rotate and motor up and down and rotate and all that kind of stuff. Like you don't, basically, or I'm not seeing it yet. So like the production value of like the set, the stage, like the lights, you know, like all the stuff they have from like the ceilings, it's all really, really, really good. And it's like it gets better every year. So like check out their Instagram page, and it's probably on Facebook as well. Where like they've got tons of photos. Like it looks as crazy in person, if not more, when you're witnessing these things, because they've got those 5 or 6 rings that are on the ceiling. They move up and down, they rotate, they tilt. They all have a whole bunch of like lights all around the perimeter and also on the inside and outside of the circle. So they move every which way, and every night, at least once, probably multiple times, they do like the song and dance of all of them. So there's like a little intermission where like there's, you know, between DJs or when there's gonna be a special performer about to come on, they'll like do this show with like the lights and rings and stuff. It's really, really cool. Production value was good. Moving on to Saturday, so that's the White Party main event. And also Sunday. So the music I did like on Saturday night and Sunday night as well. Saturday night was New Year's Eve. But there were some of my favorite DJs were playing. So there was Anne Louise, who I love. I love it when she spins. Sagi, awesome. Love his stuff. So there's some good music, some good DJs. Tommy Love also spinning. So it's a really good DJ lineup generally. So yeah, we had a really good time. The only snag was, like the getting out every night. So I think both Saturday and Sunday nights. I think one of the nights we managed to, I think on Saturday night, we got out like just like 10 or 15 minutes early and it wasn't a disaster. But then on Sunday, we thought they were going to end it a little bit later, but it also ended at 3 a.m. So we were just like, we were there when they closed it down. So it was just like a lot of waiting to go out. It'd be like, it's like another 30 to 45 minutes to get out. If you're in the dance floor when they turn up the lights and the music stops, it's like 30 to 45 minutes to get out, which is like really, really horrible. So that's like the only really unpleasant thing. Well, the two things was maybe they had a VIP bathroom and I just couldn't find it. But when you're in a party situation, you don't always have time or want to like roam and like every single inch of the facility, especially if it's large. You just have really big, really clear signs for where everything is. And I could only find 3 bathrooms and none of them were marked as VIP. Or I just missed it. It's possible too. But I would say I wish the bathroom situation was like a little bit improved because I never had those issues with the bathrooms at the previous venue. Granted, they have this venue, but it could accommodate more people. So there were more people there. But even the bathroom thing is kind of minor compared to like just getting in and out was like just so difficult. So I don't know where they're hosting it next year. I assume I'll be there next year. But if they host it at this venue again, definitely it's imperative to get there early, at least on like the more popular nights. So like the New Year's Eve night and the White Party night, definitely those 2 nights. You need to get there probably by like definitely before 10, maybe before 9. I don't know. On the New Year's Eve night, after having such a long wait to get in on Saturday night for White Party, on Sunday night, I went with a group. I didn't kind of do my own thing and come in a little bit later by myself. I went with them and we went super early. I think we got there like 8 or 8:30, and it was easy to get in. It was breezy to get in. So I think getting there before 9 is probably important. If you can get in even earlier, then it'll be even better too. And definitely not waiting till the end to leave. They don't announce the end times for any of the nights. But I think Saturday and Sunday and Friday all ended at 3 a.m. pretty much on the dot. We thought the last night was going to go to 4, but like it didn't pan out. But like not getting, like you need to be exiting before, like by the time the lights go up and they stop the music, you need to be off of the dance floor. You need to be like off of that dance floor already. And you need to be like on the way to coat check, or like you need to be like up those escalators if you don't want like an agonizing wait. So those are the lessons we learned. That was the main thing. Getting in and getting out. The logistics, was just not a good venue for getting people in and out. It was just kind of horrible in that sense. All right. And I'm trying to do a really good job of giving you guys a review of the actual White Party Bangkok. But I still remember the feedback you guys gave me for when I went to Taipei Pride and I didn't talk about the actual parties or whatever. So here you go. Here's my review of the venue and the parties and all that kind of stuff. So I hope next year, I mean, I don't know where it's going to be next year, but yeah, like it's just one of those things where getting in and getting out is just so difficult that you really have to like get there early and you can't wait till they turn the lights up to leave. That's all. But the production was great. The music was good, really good DJ lineup that really liked anyways. Like some of our favorite DJs in there. The music that was there was all really good. There were some good performances. Sometimes you go to like the bathroom or you take a break from the dance floor at the wrong moment because when you're in the middle of a circuit party, your priority is not to memorize when the performances come on and off. What the times are for all the performances. You might remember the order in which the DJs come on, but like even then, it's like if your friends like or decide to like go to grab a drink, go to the bar, take a break outside or whatever. You know, sometimes you might follow your friends, you might not hang back, you might need to pee, and you might, that might take 30 minutes or whatever because it was so busy. So, Pajana Heels performed, famous Thai drag queen. I was there for that. It was like a 5 or 10 minute performance. I was there for that. I'm sure that there were other performances. I'm sure I just missed them. But yeah, oh my God, the Go-Go's were all very, very hot. Once upon a time, David Lam and I did go at White Party Bangkok, but that was like during the early years when the standards weren't as high as now. Like our David Lam and I, our bodies are not on that level, and we don't have any dance moves. Honestly, we really don't. Yeah, but the dancers are always like super hot. There's some people that were like acrobats or acrobatics that did like some stuff with like ropes and all that kind of stuff. I didn't fully catch it, but I saw some of it. So overall, it was a really, really good party. And I just like Bangkok in general. The food is good. It's not very expensive. There's a whole ton of hotels you can stay at. Um, yeah, and there's this like apartment that we've kind of stayed at repeatedly. That's like our little home base now, and we had a whole bunch of other friends that also booked that same like little apartment building. So there was like a whole bunch of us that were staying in the same building. So that was a lot of fun. Yeah, so that's my review of White Party Bangkok this year, and also getting sick from Bangkok. We didn't know where we picked it up. We didn't go to too many home pods. I went to a couple of home pods, a couple of after party home parties afterwards. David said he didn't go to any, and he still got sick too. So yeah, so there you go. Well, happy New Year, happy 2024. Hope you had a great start to your New Year, better than mine, which is getting sick. In the next podcast, or in like one of the upcoming episodes early this year, I do want to talk about I do want to reflect on my 2023, because my 2023 it was so much different from every other year that I've lived, during my adult life at least. And even yeah, like the pandemic happened in 2020, and then that was like the last year where the world was kind of crazy, and I made some really big moves. Like I moved to LA from San Francisco. I bought this condo, for example. Yeah, but last year, 2023, has just been like a really, really weird year. And maybe I will talk about that on the next podcast, and also talk a bit about what my pseudo semi plans are for 2024. We'll do that once my throat is just a little bit less sore, so that I can do a little bit more talking without probably destroying it. So the podcast is not, I didn't just like up and end the podcast. We just accidentally took a 2-week break, but normal service has been resumed. We will be back with the weekly episodes from now on. So until next week, bye.